Fala galera da AG Fight, eu sou o Neri Fung e a minha entrevistada de hoje é Kayla Harrison, bicampeã olímpica, super estrela do PFL e que vai enfrentar a brasileira Larissa Pacheco na final do torneio peso leve no próximo dia 25 de novembro. How are you doing, Kayla?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the time. First, let's start talking about this big match, this big final against Larissa Pacheco. It will be your third fight against her. And what do you expect from this match? Do you think it's going to be kind of similar to the first two?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I think that it'll be different because we've both evolved a lot. You know, she's coming off 5 straight knockouts. She's got a lot of confidence. She's grown as a fighter, I think. So I'm expecting the best version of Larissa, but I think that I've just evolved a little bit more. You know, I think my stand-up game has evolved. I think my takedowns are the best in the world, and I think the fight will go the same, but it's going to be an even higher level of us. You know, it's going to be an even better version of each other. So
it's been almost 3 years since you last fought her. You already said you evolved, and also did she. But specific areas, where do you see her improvement?
I mean, I think she's gotten a lot stronger. I think she's gotten. She looks a lot bigger, a lot more physical. Her power, you know, like I said, 5 straight knockouts. You don't really hear about women knocking women out like that in the sport. So she's dangerous. You know, her hands have power. And I think her confidence. I think she's got a lot of confidence in herself. Whereas maybe before she was younger, she probably was still trying to get used to the division and the weight, and it's a different ball game when you're fighting for $1 million, right? So probably the pressure was different for her, but I think she's got a lot of confidence coming into this fight.
You're one of those fighters that everybody kind of knows what you're gonna do, but no one can stop you. How do you think? Why do you think this happens? Why do you think nobody can stop you?
I think a couple reasons. Number one, I think that I've been doing this for 20 something years. You know, I've been practicing twice a day since I was 12 years old. So I just have years and years and years of muscle memory and experience behind every takedown, behind every throw, behind every move that I do. And I think number two is that I work hard. You know, I'm the first in the gym. I'm the last to leave. I'm obsessed with getting better, and MMA has become my new passion and my new love. So I work my ass off to be as good as I am. It's not easy. A lot of days, you know, I'm in the gym crying. I'm frustrated. I'm down. I'm you know, pushing myself always to be the best possible version. And that is why I believe I deserve to win. And that's why I go out there and nobody can stop it, because I believe in myself. So when you put all 3 of those things together, it's a deadly combination.
Great. First 2 fights against Pacheco went to decisions, right? Do you have any prediction for this one?
I mean, I'm always looking for the finish. You know, I'm always going to be looking for the TKO, KO, or submission. But she's a very experienced fighter. She's a great fighter. She's very good. She knows what she's doing. She has more experience than me, and she's a good test. You know, she's a good test. But I've got a lot of new tools in the arsenal, and I'm excited to go out there and show the world.
Great. You already said in another interview, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, with MMA Fighting, that next year you're planning to not compete again in this playoff format. Why did you come to that decision, and how do you plan to fight next year?
So, you know, the number one reason that I'm not going to be in the season again is just my contract. My contract with the PFL is only 6 fights. So this will be my 4th fight this year. I only have 2 more fights scheduled on my contract. And the second reason is that I've done it 3 times now. Um, it's very hard. I think if you talk to a lot of other fighters, you know, you hear Rory McDonald, you hear Anthony Pettis, you hear these other fighters who have competed in the highest stage in other promotions. And to compete in a season is very different than to compete in these other promotions. And it's very mentally and physically challenging. It's a grind. And I'm ready to be patient and wait for the big fights. You know, I want to fight. I fight for my legacy. I don't fight for money. How much money does a person, you know, how much money do I need in this life? I want to take care of my family. I want to be able to live comfortable, but I don't, what I have is enough. You know, I'm very happy with my life, and I've been blessed with financial abundance that I never thought I would have. So the time is right for me to take my time and be patient, and hopefully get an opportunity to fight one of the greats.
If I understand correctly, that next year you're gonna fight a little less, right?
Yeah,
This year,
only
four
two
fights.
times. Yeah.
And then after your contract with PFL is up, after the next two fights, do you plan to resign with them,
I don't
or?
know. I don't know. That's a long way away. I have to focus right now on Larissa Pacheco, you know? Everything else I can think about later. But right now, 2 weeks until I fight, and I expect the best version of her. She has nothing to lose, you know? She's going to come out and she's going to try to take my head off. So I'm focused on her, and everything else I'll think about later.
I got it. And you planning on dropping to 45 next year?
We'll see. We'll see. You know, that's an option.
And you said about looking for the big fights against big names, and you're always linked with Cyborg, Cris Cyborg, and Amanda Nunes as well. Do you think these fights will eventually materialize someday?
I hope so. You know, I think that I want to fight the best. You know, I want to fight the best while they're the best, and I want to challenge myself. And I think the fans want to see it. So I hope it happens. I'm only in control of me. You know, all I can do is prepare, train hard, and stay ready.
You're like the biggest star in PFL. I'm sure you have close connection with the big guys in the management. Are you planning on some type of cross promotion with Bellator next year? So this, especially Bellator, because UFC doesn't like cross promotion, but with Bellator, so this fight against Cyborg can get out of the system.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that. I think that PFL is willing and ready to do something like that. But again, it's not my job. It's not my job to make the fights happen. It's my job to prepare and be ready and go out there and kick ass. So, you know, they know that I'm on board with it. They know that I don't care if we have it in Bellator and PFL on Mars, you know, in a backyard. I don't care. I'm ready to fight. So that's something that we're going to talk about once this fight is over, I'm sure.
And besides, obviously, Cyborg and Nunes, do you have any other big star you're looking forward to face?
I mean, right now I just want to face Larissa Pacheco. You know, right now I just want to get out there and dominate her. You know, 2 weeks. I've been training really hard. It's been a long year. It's been a long season. So that's really all I'm focused on. All that other stuff I'll figure out later. But right now, the only thing I think about is Larissa Pacheco.
I got it. Featherweight and lightweight, the two heaviest divisions in women's MMA, at least in the big leagues, have arguably the three biggest stars in the sport. You and Cyborg and Nunes. At the same time, it looks like it kind of lacks depth of competition, like more girls at high level, so you three can face. I mean, UFC's featherweight division is always in danger of being stinked. You and Cyborg are kind of taking laps against your competition. First of all, do you agree with this statement? Do you think it kind of lacks some depth? And second, do you see any short-term solution for it?
I mean, I agree and I disagree. I think that you know, it needs time to grow. Women's MMA is still new. It hasn't been around for half as long as men's MMA. And I think that women are getting better exponentially. You know, you see more and more every day, much more technical women's MMA fights, much more close MMA fights, and really chess matches for women's MMA. And I think that it just needs time to grow. You know, I think there's a lot of badass women out there who are not 120 pounds. They just got to find. I mean, I can think of 50 in judo who would be absolute killers in MMA. You know, it just needs time to grow.
This would be my next question, actually. I don't know how close you still follow judo competition, but do you see anyone with potential to follow your steps and have success in MMA?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that there's a lot of women in judo who could be very successful in MMA. I think the base is really good. You know, it's grappling, knowing how to grapple is kind of a cheat code in MMA, right? Like it's tough. It's tough to beat a grappler. And I know from experience how mentally difficult and physical judo can be in the training and preparing for the Olympics and preparing for the World Championships and another tournament and another tournament and another tournament. So I know that they're mentally tough. And I think that there are a lot of women who would have success in MMA.
Could you name a few?
Oh man. I mean, I think they're like pretty much any woman on the women's Cuban national team, like Onyx Cortez. She's a killer. You know, I remember we were doing rounds with her and like throwing each other off the mats and like hitting our heads on the wood. Like she's an absolute killer, and she's got that dog in her. You know, she doesn't care. She'll find a way. So any woman from the women's Cuban national team, I think, would be successful in MMA. I think probably a lot of women who are maybe like a step down from the national team in Japan. Like maybe they're not the number one Japanese judo player, but they're the number 2 or number 3. I think that they would have a lot of success in women's MMA. The girl from Kosovo who won the Olympics, what's her name? Kelmendi. I think she would be an absolute killer in MMA. There's a bunch. There's so many. Silva from Brazil. Silva. Yeah, Rafaela. I think she would be a killer.
She's so athletic, right?
Yeah, for sure. Natural, like, yeah. There's a lot of women who would transition well.
Great. Well, Kayla, I'd like to thank you again for this interview, for your time, and wish you good luck in your fight. And if you have any message to leave for your Brazilian fans who are going to watch this video.
I just want to say thank you so much. You know, I have so many great memories from my days competing in Brazil, and some of the, you know, Mayra Aguiar brought out the best in me as a competitor, and Larissa has brought out the best in me as a competitor. I know that the Brazilian people have a fighting spirit. So for me, I'm grateful for the Brazilian fans, and I'm sending you guys lots of love.